Hello, friends, and welcome to Pathologic, Volume 9, Episode 25. If you are not yet a member of our Discord, please come over and join us. There's a link in the description to this video. It's a great place to go to get many more puzzles like the ones that we see here and to join in the community discussion. We'd love to have you there. But today, here, we are going to be solving a puzzle called Alcazar, and we will learn how that works together as we take a look at the rules. In Alcazar, we draw a non-intersecting path through the centers of all empty cells, which begins and ends in different cells on the edge of the grid. So the path only goes horizontally and vertically, and has to go through every cell, which makes this awfully similar to a full loop puzzle, like a simple loop, for example, with the exception that it is not a loop. It is a path, and the two ends of the path can't be anywhere in the middle of the grid. They've got to be on the ends. And the path may not pass through bold borders. Those are the only blocks in the puzzle. We don't have any shaded squares like we would have in some genres. We're doing borders instead. The checkerboard pattern is merely cosmetic. It does not have a gameplay purpose, but we might be able to use that in some deductions. Those are the rules of Alcazar, so it's time to solve the puzzle. Today's Alcazar puzzle was set by Tyrgannus. All right, we have a bunch of cells in the grid that have only two entrances and exits, and we can take advantage of that by drawing lines in those cases. So just scanning through, we've got this and we've got this, and we got to make sure to count the edge of the grid as a potential entrance and exit, since this is not a loop puzzle. So I can't, for example, draw this in because this could be an entrance or exit. And I can't do the thing I would normally do in a loop puzzle and say, well, this doesn't go this way, so it continues, because it might exit there. But I'll continue through and scan for more cases where we have only two free sides. Here's a straight through one. Here's another corner here, which is nice because that's going to force this one to turn south. Not here. Here's a corner. And then here's a straight through. Here's a corner here, straight through, corner, and then in the bottom, we've got maybe none. Okay. So next, I can do a little thing that jumps out at me as something that I do from simple loop puzzles, which is this construction. When we've got a cell like this, it can't go straight horizontally because that would force this to be a loop. So this has got to, it goes either west or east, but it definitely goes north. So when you got this staple-like shape, you can fill in that line here, and I see that again right there, and those will come together in some way. Here we've got a virtual alley, so this comes through here. That gives us a corner there. Yeah, it's a little different than normally in a loop puzzle. I'd be starting with the edges primarily, and here I'm thinking a lot more about the middle of the grid. That said, I just noticed a thing on the edges that we can probably use next. And that is right here. This corner. There are three edges, but just like what we were saying here, we can't use both of these edges because we'd get a loop. So that's one of them, and that makes this an entrance/exit, which is wonderful. If we can identify the other one, then we can know that the rest of the edges are solid. So how would we do that? I'm not sure what the most efficient is. Okay, here's a virtual tunnel. I guess I'll draw that in. I'm not sure the most efficient, but I'm going to interrogate this one. So if this exits, if it went north and south, let me say that. If it went north and south, that's fine. That's an exit. That's going to force this to go south and also be an exit, but we've already got one, and we can't have more than two. So this does not go north and south, which means it does go west. Still could go south here, but I wonder if I can reuse that idea elsewhere in the grid. Like here, for example, if this went south and gave us an exit, then this would have to become an exit. So it doesn't. So those link up. If this went south, it would force us another exit there. But that didn't tell us which way this went. This could be our other exit right now. I doubt it will be, but I don't see how to prove that. Here, do we have... Okay, this is a bit more complicated. I know some things about loop logic that allowed me to see this more quickly, and I don't know of a quick way of going about this, but basically this pattern that we created, we started with this pattern and we said, okay, this is part of it. Okay, so this as a whole is going to have one entrance and one exit, at least. And if we link up these two with each other, that's going to be a problem, because that puts this internal one as linking up with here, and we end up with a loop. I hope that's clear. So that tells me that there is a line from there to there. And we've got this nice little smiley face that we've now drawn. If we... I think we can probably extend that somehow by saying if this goes up... no, that's not the one. Let's see. Up here we've got a corner. And let's just look at the top of the grid a bit more. Here we can't do these two. We would make a loop. Yeah, there we go. We can't do these two because that would make a loop. So we've got to go out here. And that gives us our entrances. And so now we can treat the rest of the entire border of the grid as walls. These are walls all the way along here, all the way along here. So now that we've done that, the rest of it probably will just fall apart. So here we turn. We're going to have to turn on all of these. We've got so many corners that we can fill in right now because of that. Don't want to close this loop. This goes through here. We've got a corner up here. This becomes a corner. This becomes a corner there. And come through here. Probably a lot of the logic I've been talking about, while valid, was not necessary if we had noticed that this forced exit. Once you have this forced exit and that forced exit, the rest of the puzzle is fairly trivial, I think. And this connects to here, and that is how you solve an Alcazar.